architect, especially for AI. I'm based in Würzburg, which is very close to Frankfurt. I'm also sometimes in the office in Frankfurt. Of course, Microsoft, there's a lot going on in Munich, so I'm here and there as well. But yeah, sometimes at Frankfurt, if you're there, ping me. We can have a meeting, chat, or coffee there. If you wish, just ping me. I'm a cloud solution architect. If you are not familiar with the role, it's basically I'm doing with all my customers, which are of all industries, more or less. I'm doing architectural design sessions, but also helping with technical blockers, supporting them, guiding through building an architecture. And as in AI, we're all Python guys. I also do the coding part. I do a lot of demoing, etc. And yeah, that's normally, so to speak, my daily work. And the purpose of this talk is I want to give you, in terms of OpenAI and in terms of all of the latest announcements and all of what we are having now in terms of AI. I want to give you material that you can be fast in your projects, that you know what it is, how you can use it, and so to speak like the hitchhiker's guide to the new AI and the practical tools so that you can succeed with your projects. And yeah, so we or I, especially with my customers, I see projects done so extremely fast. I've never seen before. So there are projects done, POCs done within hours or a day, projects done within weeks. That's really a huge game changer right now. Okay, let me start with it. What is all the hype around ChatGPT? And so the chatbot, what it's about. So basically, it's the most human-like interaction that most computer users have seen so far, that really resemble like you're interacting with a human. So it's really human-like language that comes back. And of course, it's not at all times human level. And you can find that out if you place the right questions, if you ask the right things, or say the right things, then you quickly find out, okay, that's not really interacting with a human-like robot, or with a human robot. It's human-like. And the real game changer in terms of search, it means it cannot only search, but it can also generate or do things for you. So you can ask some things. For example, please come up with content, please create something for me, generate ideas, help me with the brainstorming. And that hasn't been possible before. And you will get all the slides with all the clickable links after this presentation. I hope also this link should be clickable for you if you're following along. And there is also prompt examples I provided here. So there are many examples from personal projects, how to get help with meal planning, but also business ideas for different departments, etc. So there's a lot of inspirations in this collection, just to get started. So in the beginning, I was very curious who is in the audience, and I have a few questions. Just let me paste them all, and let's do this. Maybe I will copy and paste this in the chat. And please, if you feel that you are being addressed, please give this a thumbs up. So I paste them one after another, just that we see how many people are using. All right, there's a lot of 10 people now have used ChatGPT or Bing GPT for private purposes. All been very curious for some time on the waiting list. I was on the waiting list too. Okay, 13 people, 7 people as of now that also have used the OpenAI programmatically. I hope I have some additional value for you in this talk. So we will also see what's there on Azure, and 5 people that are using OpenAI techniques in a business project. 6 people. Interesting. Awesome. Awesome. Let's see also maybe if people are adding more of them over the course of the talk. But yeah, so let's start, and just as an inspiration, how we can use ChatGPT is maybe let it write a little story, and just to see how good it can work if you ask for the right things. And I just asked to write me a little story about Marcus and Katharina, 2 persons who are infamous for being late. Write that story in the style of Douglas Adams, and add Marvin, a depressed robot, to the story. Unfortunately, my network got interrupted during this request, but I found that very interesting, so I kept it and highlighted a few things which I find are remarkable. If you know the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and you also maybe know the books and how that's written, and all of this like flowery language and the special language, also this nihilistic language, then it's quite good that is also doing this. And we see the introduction to the story, they're always late, and here it's a what is the point of all it? Life was meaningless, and yeah, couldn't help but feel a sense of despair wash over him. Marvin let out a long, expressed sigh. Of course he did, he muttered. So it really captured the style of this. And sure, and also with ChatGPT, as most of you know, it's interactive. You can work with it. Now add something different to the story or change a bit. And so that is like the one part of it, seeing it as an assistant, that you're, you have an assistant, you give ideas, you do brainstorming and yeah, generate a lot of things. And I asked just for a comparison, Bing GPT, so in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, list me all of the computers that are in the story and list them in terms of size. And it did it and started with deep thought, was asked for the question for life and everything, etc. And the answer was 42, which of course it's not in any terms like something you can know, you can learn something from. And then the Earth was built to formulate the right question that deep thought then can process. So it's getting bigger. So the message is like models are getting bigger. And so the community came up with something which is known as transformers. And there's, maybe you recognize the architecture. We won't have a deep dive into the architecture, how transformers work. Basically, like the most inventive part of that is the attention module, which means like in a sequence of words, it can process sequences, not like traditional fast forward networks. It takes sequences, and it can also have attention to specific parts of the sequence. And this is like the main invention of the transformers. And as computer scale, as hardware gets better, so we can add more parameters. This model grow in size, and at a certain point, there's something happening which we call the emergent behavior. So there's something that the model can do which it hasn't been trained on. So let's take out a translation, for example. ChatGPT or GPT or the models have been trained on a vast amount of data in the internet, but it hasn't been trained to do translation. But at some point, we suddenly saw that from this other training, it inherently learned, because it saw a lot of languages in that material, that it learned to translate from one language to another. And that's also happening to like other things. And as we further scale up the parameters, we can imagine what might happen too. So yeah, we call this an emergent behavior. And in terms of intelligence, also I don't want to discuss intelligence, what it is. So that's very deep topic. But I think things like reasoning, problem solving, by using language, etc., are one of the most or the stronger traits of a system being intelligent. And that's a quite good direction we are going to, because when we look at this question, GPT-3 or GPT or the large language models, they can reason. Of course, we need to help them to do a right reasoning. But yeah, the gist of it is like, if you're interested, there's this paper, Sparks of AI, which exactly discusses like these things. Where are we on the way to the artificial general intelligence, which is then, yeah, human-like on all terms of this intelligence. And typically, so to compare more the traditional machine learning for NLP, where we started with, what we did a lot in the last years, is we have specific models for specific projects. So for example, we want to do classification. We have an email and we want to classify this email. Is this like, what happened? Is this an insurance document? Is it some question? And for this, we must label the data, and we train a machine learning model for this very specific use case. And we do that also for entity extraction. We do that for summarization, etc. So we have a lot of different models. Each one is highly optimized for this use case, and each one is most likely at or above human level, but it can only do this one job. And this is what the large language models overdo right now. So they are trained on a vast amount of data. And the training, of course, is very expensive. But with this emergent behavior, we see they can do all of the tasks out of the box, so to speak. And this means we interact with them in natural language. We don't program, we don't train as of now, but yeah, that's the way we interact with them. And also, large language models can generate things. So starting with classify this document, it's not very generative. That's more kind of a classification. We put a document in and we say, okay, that's an insurance document. But also we can say, write me a letter explaining why the markets are down, give the reason. So this is more exploratory, but we can also like having automated emails, which always the human needs to check, but we can generate the content by just giving the instructions. And where are we in the schema of AI? So when we are speaking of what we had, the narrow AI, we have like a single task models, or the broad AI, which is like doing more multitask, classification, content generation, all in one model. Also multimodal, which means it can process more than language. It also can process images or videos. And then we have the strong AI, which is a very strong understanding of the physical environment and everything, which like, yeah, AGI should show. Then I guess we are at the beginning here. So we are starting with, there's GPT-4, it's multimodal. We're having multitask models, etc. So that's really, really exciting time to be alive right now. OpenAI and Microsoft have partnered together for some time now, but OpenAI is still like privately held company. where Microsoft has invested to. And OpenAI produces like all of they're doing the research, and Microsoft provides the platform. Also, the models are trained on the Azure platform. But then, yeah, OpenAI has the models, and we are adding the enterprise features, yeah, and the data privacy, etc. In it is GPT-3 and GPT-4 that can generate and understand text. The same applies for code. We'll just see in a second. There's also Jolly. There's something in the audio. Am I missing something? No. Okay. And the chat version of GPT. And yeah, why not ask Bing GPT, tell me about Azure OpenAI service. And it says it's a product that allows you to access powerful language models from OpenAI, which we just saw through a REST API. It's part of the cognitive services and runs on Azure Global Infrastructure. You can also ask, how did Microsoft cooperate with OpenAI? And you basically see also Bing gives you, so it does the research. It gives you all the links where you can then read it. It gives you a human-like response to it. And we should see that there was a 1 billion in investment in 2019. And do we give more funding in 2023? I guess yes, everyone heard of that. There was an additional 10 billion funding done in 2023. And what's in there? So as of the language models, which is GPT-3 and GPT-4, there are a different set of models. And to distinguish them, this is, yeah, so they grow in size, they're bigger. It's also to say they are more capable and more diverse. They can do more. For example, some of them, they can only do or apply to classification, to very specific use cases. But DaVinci is like the most known for it. This is the one that powered ChatGPT. Basically, there is a version 3.5 of that, which is also called GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's a bit smaller from the size as of DaVinci, but it's almost like capable of the same things to do, and it's way cheaper than that. And GPT-4, which was very recently announced. And yeah, let's quickly, I said it, compare the version. ChatGPT should be the first choice because it's very cheap, and most of things it really can do, and that should also be the approach. So try with this one first, and then go maybe to even cheaper ones or to more expensive ones if it doesn't work. Also the most economical one. And GPT-4, yeah, it really improved like solving and reasoning capabilities. It's really better there. You can also try it. Bing GPT is powered by GPT-4, which we learned recently. And the token limit is also increased. So if you have larger documents, you can put more content into it. And of course, GPT 3.5, which is then compared to this one, like this is in a chat way of interacting with GPT, and the GPT models is like more in a one prompt, one response style. We will see this later in the demo. Of course, most of you will already know this. We can come up with a prompt, and we will get a response for GPT for ChatGPT. That's more like a chatbot interaction. And for Codex, by the way, also GPT-3 and GPT-4 can do code. Codex is explicitly trained and more focused on the coding. It can only do code, but you can query. Of course, because it's not connected to a database, you must provide, for example, a schema. Then you can write a SQL query, and it writes the code for you. And Dolly, it's generating images from a prompt, here a cat, which doesn't exist in reality. Very, very, very briefly, just that you have it there, how the Azure AI platform looks like. So Azure Machine Learning is the basis. Also, the OpenAI models are trained using Azure Machine Learning, maybe as a side fact. And OpenAI is a service like the cognitive services, customizable AI, and more application-specific, like you most likely know, are the applied AI services that are built on top or out of more or one or more of these cognitive services. What are we giving to the table? So OpenAI is doing the research, and it's literally we take their models and host it on our platform for our customers. Plus, we give like all of this data security, all of the business features, enterprise-grade security, role-based access, etc., which I guess you do not have on OpenAI. Also for private endpoints or VNets, it's not existing on OpenAI APIs. What are the top capabilities and use cases? We see, of course, it's content generation. And generating personalized things, I guess, is the most interesting here. Generate personalized emails, more in a more natural language fashion. Summarization, I guess most interesting is also the summarization of either reportings or of knowledge, just to make it more accessible. And code generation, we've seen that also with GitHub Copilot. It's a huge productivity booster, and very interesting. And we see that later in the solution accelerators is search or semantic search, building knowledge bases and doing knowledge mining, maybe building like an enterprise chatbot, which is doing the same like Bing GPT. And also a set of mixed, like if there's some business case application or most of them, and that's why like OpenAI will never come alone, will either use more modalities or more different models or more different things from that, plus other services to use it. So I've prepared a very quick demo. Maybe when I change the screen, it's a good pause for questions, if there are any.
Right now, as it looks, we don't have questions. Few comments from Andreas, but we can take them after the talk from another Andreas.
So just let me see. This is the right window.
Yes.
And let's start. So when you created an instance in your Azure portal, then you can basically start with experimenting directly in the studio. So it's available OpenAI Azure.com, and there's a playground. And only in East US, there's also a chat playground available. So let's go there and ask it a typical question. We always want to know something. We're curious. We want to know things. And let's see if it can help us. Okay, should have cleaned the white spaces. Okay, let's focus on these numbers and do it again. And okay, 1, 3, okay, something. Let's focus maybe on Microsoft 143. It's the first one. The 103, generate it again. Okay, so the last, it was .02. It's not very big change this time. It's always funny with non-deterministic models. At demos, unexpected things happen. But we can see it before it had 143.02, and now it's 01. It's only a slight change, but it is a change. And I want to know this: is this reliable information? I would say no. And we basically let's double check and add something like provide the links where you found the information. This is something we can easier check. And so now we have some links. Let's pick out Amazon. And see. Okay, it directs us somewhere else, but it exists. That's interesting. Then let's use the other page. All Statista links right now, but I guess if it doesn't exist, if the page doesn't exist, it routes us to somewhere else because it finds like maybe the number. But you get the gist of it. It makes up things. It makes up things like the information which we've seen. I wouldn't trust these numbers, and also the links are made up if we ask it. And probably you know the best strategy to come around this. If you're unsure, please say, I don't know. And of course, this is not a very sophisticated prompt, but yeah, then it says, I don't know, because it's unsure about this. It doesn't make things up. So it's all about prompting. But something which is probably more business case related is to do a summary and or information extraction out of things which we don't want to read. And let's say this is a NDA contract, and we also tell it from the following NDA contract, extract the following information for us: when the contract was signed, who signed, address the person signing the contract, and yeah, the fine for breaching the contract, and the generated result. Okay, I chose a maximum length of tokens for just 100. So yeah, but that's sufficient. So we get an answer. We get a few items and get basically the result. So this is a not an international date format. And also now we want to have it as a JSON because we want to use it in the application. And then we can come up with things like this: answer in JSON. Use the keys for this, and also format the signing date in this format. And it's always good to give a hint, like right now, start in JSON, and then it knows where to begin with. And this is what it does. So we can use this for further application, or put it in a database, or for reporting. And that's super interesting because like I directly have this usable and can go on with this. Also the same for language, of course. Very, very quick example. This is in German. So we ask it to write a letter for the customers in German, that there's a maintenance window at a specific date, and we give instructions. So be apologetic, offer help using that email, and use the time format as this, and we say generate this letter. And there it is. It sounds apologetic. It gets the gist of it. Okay, I should not restrict it to the, give it a bit more of the tokens. And then you can see the full answer. Okay. But one thing it didn't realize, we said use this as a time format, but we mixed up that in the instructions for the email. So it wrote another sentence that we are using this format as timelet. So we should consider how we giving the instructions for the model plus the instructions what it should do, and should separate this out. ChatGPT is basically the same. So we have a chat interface, and we can give it a system message. And there are some pre-populated one. You can have examples. So also a JSON formatted assistant. And when you use this, you see that it's an assistant. This is also then in the prompt each time, which is producing JSON format. We have a personal assistant, which is the default one, your AI assistant that helps people find information. And yeah, my coding approach is normally using ChatGPT. And I say, write a Flask app that shows a simple hello world website with a HTML template. It gives you workable code. If it doesn't work, it can correct itself. So you can ask to correct the code. And then you can also start to adapt it and say, add an API that returns the weather data for a specific location. And we also get the code for that then. And normally also the instructions, what we should do with it. So this was my first demo, and quickly jump over. The next one is we can also use this programmatically, of course. And oh, it stopped. Let me quickly restart my code space. And yeah, so we've seen like how we can interact with the studio, and that's also like very good thing to start with. And if you have project ideas, directly start with the studio, try things out if it works. And when things become more concrete, then normally we do encoding anyway. And I have a few examples brought to you just to show how it works. There's an OpenAI Python SDK, for example. This is the same one that is directly from OpenAI. It also works with Azure. You just need to change the authentication settings, and here we have it. By the way, I can also send you the repository for this. This is out of a Azure OpenAI in a day workshop, and yeah, let's check it. We are using key and token key authentication, the API key, and we have set this as environment variable. We also need to give the endpoint, and for the following examples, for the completion model embeddings, we will talk about this later. For the completion model, we are using text Da Vinci models and different encodings. And then you see, so with the OpenAI package, it's just like a few lines of Python code. And we are sending the prompt, selecting the right engine, which is like basically the model, Ada, Babbage Query, Da Vinci, for example. And we can also set all of the parameters which we've seen in the studio using that code, and generate or get our answer. And that's what you see here. We said knock knock, who's there, boo boo hoo, which came up. We can also do this in a streaming fashion. So the last time I ran the cell, the browser window wasn't able to stream it, but like you see when you interact with Bing GPT, it also displays it in a streaming way as the answer is building up. You can also do this here if you enable the stream flag here, or the stream parameter, and then it has the same feeling here. And a package which is also quite interesting is LinkChain. If you haven't heard it, LinkChain is basically a package, a higher level package that helps you with orchestrating or open source orchestrating all of your large language models workflows. So it helps you keep the memory, it helps you with building chats, it helps you to get or connect to your documents. So there are a lot of modules which you can use it. Also quite interesting, can post you a video where you can connect it with Zapier, which is an automation platform. Is there a question?
Are you still you're still sharing the chat playground? Is that on purpose?
No, I'm sharing a Visual Studio Code space, so you don't see it.
No, we don't see it yet. That's a good point, Andreas. And we also have one question. Maybe you can take a look. Sven ask, how much differ optimal prompts between models? So how they are useful? Is that the same prompt language, I would say, so across different models and so on? And it would be good if you can take that one.
Yeah, normally I would say totally depending on the task. So if you do classification, prompt is more or less the same. I'm not aware of best practices that you maybe simplify your language when you go to the smaller models. It's definitely worth to try out. But in general, I would say no. So your prompt for classification should look like a classification prompt, or for completion maybe looks a bit different than this. For embeddings, or if you're like doing knowledge extraction or summary extraction, then it's also kind of the same, because you put like excerpts of the document to this. So I'd say no, not very
I agree
different.
on that. I agree on that. Independent of these Microsoft and OpenAI models, personally, I have been playing, and a few other guys in call, you can please also answer that. What is your experience? But for example, if you use DALL-E and compare that with Midjourney, which is actually same problem statement, but prompts are actually different. I mean, you talk English, you type English, but it is different kind of English, different kind of semantic and command to get same results. So it's just like, I would say, like different people from different cultures you need to adopt to learn to talk to them. That's my experience till now.
Can you see now the code?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So just I've spoken a lot of it, just that you see it. Quickly rerun through it again. The package is the OpenAI package. It's the same package for OpenAI. OpenAI, you can use it on Azure too. Set the right access keys, define the right embedding models or completion models. We are doing completion right now, focusing on text completion. And then this is the prompt. So very easy. And also for the streaming fashion, just change that here. And let's see the LinkChain here, which is the open source package that makes life easier, more of a high level abstraction. And you see that we define in LinkChain an Azure OpenAI deployment. We address it, and then we just like speak with it. And that's very easy to do. And also when you start like connecting other things or making flows, then this is comes in very handy. Also for some solution accelerator, we are using this package internally. And this is then the response, and also for embeddings, we will see that later. What the numbers mean. And just to give you something which is very fun to play around with, and this is not OpenAI related. This comes from my other project, which is called Florence project. And this is more focused on computer vision. And this is also a multi-modal model that can do image processing. And that's quite funny, because you can also play around with this demo. If you have a resource, you can connect it. And just to briefly show you this, there is now a video running. It's just a captured video from a shop floor, and you can filter it, or you can summarize this video, and just like, yeah, describe what happens there. And if you connect like your Azure instance to it, then you can also ask questions. So you can please find me the man spilling a cup of coffee that's happened in one of those videos. So you can search through the videos, and I find that quite cool demos. And yeah, that also gives like some outlook to GPT-4 and more, all of this image capabilities. Yeah, but then let me return to the slide deck. And it's here. And yes, I want to. Oh, there. All right. So as I said, I want to give you as much as possible that you can succeed with, or you can play around with. So this link is a collection of all the solution accelerators and all the demos which I present, plus even a lot of more. And also there's a workshop that we are currently delivering a lot with our customers. It's OpenAI in a day. It's basically like focusing on theory and prompt engineering in the morning hours, and doing labs and yeah, Python coding, notebooks, building applications in the afternoon. And so this the set for people taking part of this workshop is very broad. So basically everyone can join the morning hours, because that's more level 100 to 200. And doing prompt engineering, everyone can do prompt engineering. Even guys that are not deeply in ML sometimes do better prompts than ML guys. And the afternoon hours are then more technical. It's also an open source workshop. We recorded videos to like train the trainer concept. So if that's usable for you, you can use it at any time. And I'm also interesting, or one of the questions I'm asked the most is, how do I now bring my own data to ChatGPT? And I'm curious what you think, and let's do the same. I forgot one. Please vote up. What do you think? To bring my own chat data, I can use ChatGPT out of the box. Or number two, I have to fine tune the model with my own data. Number three, I need to inject the relevant information into the prompt alongside with my question. Or four, something else. So the answers are in the chat. Please do a thumb up for your preferred. Okay, number two. Number three also. Number two has the most votes. Okay, so number one, almost everyone thinks, no, I can't use it out of the box. Sure, if it's very general information, maybe you can get it out, but yeah. Most people think fine tuning, and number three, inject the data. Interesting. Let's see. To go to the first question, should I fine tune GPT-3 with my data? The slides say yes, but only for the use cases. I would stress generally no, but for those use cases. Classification is something which usually works very well with fine tuning, or conditional generation, which means answering in a very specific style, which maybe the training data, there's nothing in it of that specific style, and we need to teach the model a specific style. So think of this in the following way. When you fine-tune a model, which is working on transfer learning, you are not teaching the model new information in terms of training. So maybe fine-tuning, or maybe training is the wrong word, fine-tuning is a better word. We are reweighing the weights so that the model performs better on the specific task we want to give it. And that's like the gist of it. It's a pattern. We want to teach the model new patterns, but not new information. And also, ChatGPT or GPT was trained with a lot of information. And if you like provide like a few hundred or a few thousand of example, it's so comparably small to what the model has seen that anyway it wouldn't like consider it. So it's very hard. We've seen customers doing fine tuning. It's extremely hard and very expensive to do it this way. So it most likely won't work, and it will be a very expensive experiment then. And unfortunately, as of now, I think in most regions it's not possible to do fine tuning because of capacity constraints, of course. A better approach is prompt injection, and that is sometimes you maybe do also with Bing GPT, or yeah, like we see here, we are giving the article, and then we give the instructions what the model should do with this article. This is the easiest form of content or yeah, like prompt injection. Of course, at some times everything will get too big, so it won't fit any longer into here. But up to the token limit, this will do. Then there is another technique, which is called embeddings. And embeddings is doing a abstract projection of a document. We can give a whole document or a phrase or a word, and it projects that into a vector space, a very high dimensional vector space. And we see we have here an insurance document and a children's story. So in this vector space, they should be very far away and have a low similarity score. But if we have something which is similar, car insurance and life insurance, for example, this has a very high similarity score. And in very specific cases, so for example, medicine, language is very different, this works extremely good. So it typically works good. It's a very good approach also compared to prompt injection, because we are not limited to the size of the documents, because we can chunk the documents. If it's too big, we also, the best practice is not to give them very big chunks. So we focus on we split up the document and make summaries of summaries. So that is the approach. Overall, the model's getting bigger and bigger. But anyway, information sometimes get washed out if you give it too much information. But that is basically the principle of the embeddings. And you can use it for search, like we've seen before. Also for clustering, we see similar documents are closer together, and then we can cluster. And after that, we can ask also the model, extract from this cluster keywords. And then we can like see what is this cluster. So it also can help us in a further project to find out more information. So if you have movies, please extract keywords from this set here, and we see, okay, maybe that's a science fiction cluster, for example. Recommendations then, yeah, because what's similar recommend people similar content to what they've seen. Anomaly detection, what stands out from that? Maybe is that an anomaly? I don't know from here, or many more, for example. And in terms of customization of the model, other than fine-tuning, there are more methods. So zero-shot learning is a technique which means we just give a prompt and the model hasn't specifically been trained on that task, a classification of documents. So it learned it inherently. It emerged with that trait. And we don't give an example and just give a prompt and get a result. We can also do few-shot learning, which means we're giving a few examples in the prompt. That means we don't need to do fine-tuning. We just give it a few examples alongside to say, okay, do it in this way, please. This is my expected result. And now do on your own. And I hope I get something similar to this. And then, of course, like we've seen, embedding or fine-tuning models. And there's also like, I can show you a notebook. You can do this very, very quickly in a few lines of code, the embeddings. And this is one of the first solution accelerators we came across for doing the knowledge bases, or like semantic answering, how we call this. And this one is in the center. There's a vector database that is storing all of these vectors. So Redis is obviously not the best choice. So it is a very good choice, but it's also a very expensive choice. So there's another solution accelerator. This is just for like demoing how it works. And we are scanning, like also using form recognizer for running through all of the documents, and then doing embeddings from the document. And when we are placing a question, then this question embedding, this will also be embedded, will be compared with the documents. And the most similar 5 documents will be picked out. A natural language answer will be generated from that, embedding then the answer and also giving the link like Bing GPT will do. So that's not presented here. But this architecture evolved. You can still do this. That's still very good. But you can also do the search layer and the storage layer of all of this, so to speak, with cognitive search. Cognitive search doesn't have a vector embedding capability. It does like the classic search. It also has semantic search for trying things out, but it basically works the same. It doesn't do embeddings, but it searches from your prompt, and also the prompt can be optimized, and that's, I'm sure, what is done in Bing GPT. It makes the best search query. So you write something, and then Bing interprets it in a way, making a better search query, then searching from the most relevant context, then doing prompt injection from the content to give you a natural answer, and giving also the links to the documents. By the way, the links all should work to the solution accelerators. And there's another one which is very interesting because it's super easy. I've seen this. I saw this demo working in a day. It's about contact center analytics, and we did this with a customer where we stored all of the calls and did transactions, speech to text, and then we asked OpenAI or GPT to do summarization and keyword extraction. And then we put these keywords also into Power BI, for example. And immediately you can see what is going on. So is there a problem maybe? Is there some outage? A lot of customers asking for same things. And that's super cool dashboard to see in real time what is happening. And also you can have summarizations or like give additional informations you gain from that to your CRM system. Is working very good. In terms of time, so also there's something I will give you, or I can share later if there's interest. Llama Index is something that can help you also bring your own data basically to a similar architecture in an open source way. So there's no need like to use additional services. And it's also very quick to find out how things work. And if semantic search is maybe working for you, can present you this afterwards. And yeah, to wrap up maybe, why is OpenAI such a game changer? Well, it's generative. It's a large language model, which we've seen has so many capabilities and react in a human-like behavior. It can program for you, and it's so good for the prototyping. It already has broad knowledge. You can also bring broad knowledge to build knowledge bases and bots to interact in a human way, in a human-like way. And yeah, I think the combination of humans and AI is the really big thing here, because yeah, also one of the best practices, always keep a human in the loop. It's when how we need to check. So there are not so many ways right now how to check if the right things come out and how good it is. And yeah, see this as a support. That's really good. Yeah, I think at least we are at the end of my presentation. We have some times for questions. We also have some times if you want to see the code or more code or something more deep dive, just let me show it, let me know it.
Thank you, Andreas. I'm going to stop the recording right now for the case that some people would rather ask a question after recording.